What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics. And today I got a reaction to Gowan and his album Strange Animal, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and Patreon channel, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us anyway, check out that Patreon link below, or the Patreon link on the end screen. I always say it, but it's true. We could not do it without you. All right, I never even heard of Gowan. But Doug says, I'll give you some background on Gowan, but Doug says, this was very popular in Canada, but never had an American release. In Canada, we didn't have MTV. We had Much Music, where because of CRTC, Canadian Radio Television Commission, radio and television stations needed to have at least 50% of their programming to be Canadian artists to give them more of a chance. It worked for Gowan. He had 3 singles off this album, which I'll get to in a minute, but I thought it's always good to see what the patron had to say. And like I said, I've never even heard of Gowan. Maybe I should have, because I'll get to that in a minute. But Lawrence Gowan is a Scottish-born Canadian singer, so they moved there when he was very young, and keyboardist. He's a solo artist and also been a vocalist and keyboardist of the band Styx. Yes, that Styx, since May of 1999. His musical style is usually classified in the categories of pop and progressive rock. In 1997, during Styx's tour, Gowan performed as a supporting act for Styx in Montreal's Molson Center in Quebec and in Quebec City as well. Tommy Shaw, of course, of Styx, admired his talent and vibrant stage charisma and called him in May of 1999, it's a couple years later, right? Asking him to tour with them for 53 dates, temporarily replacing their lead singer, Dennis DeYoung, who was ill. Eventually, Shaw successfully executed a coup against DeYoung and removed him from the band he founded. As a result, Gowan permanently replaced the lead singer. Now, that doesn't mean he sings the lead on every 6 songs, but he was the replacement. Let's get to this album. Second studio album released in 1985. Despite not having an American release, as Doug mentioned, it is considered to be Gowan's breakthrough release. The album will go on to reach number 5 on the Canadian album charts and spawn the singles, in parentheses, You're a Strange Animal, Criminal Mind, Cosmetics, and Gorilla Soldier. Triple platinum and 7 Juno Award nominations on this one. After his 1982 debut album, Gowan did not fare well, the self-titled. Gowan found himself naturally gravitating to the Queen Street West music scene that was developing in Toronto in the mid-'80s. He also spent a year writing songs and traveled to Scotland and Ireland to trace his heritage. Here's what Lawrence, or I've seen him introduced in interviews, I've watched a few interviews as Larry, has to say. He said, Strange Animal came from the non-success of the first album. I had to delve internal things because the failure wasn't something I took lightly. At the time, I'd been reading a lot of Herman Hesse books, so that internal conflict and eventual resolution was at the heart of a lot of the songs on the album. The album that whole year came to represent the whole human range, the whole arc of existence for me. That's some deep stuff. Grabbing Peter Gabriel's rhythm section, Jerry Marotta and Tony Levin, Strange Animal's producer David Tickle also arranged for Gowan to record at the home studio of Ringo Starr, formerly owned by John Lennon, in the French Riviera. Gowan said, let's face it, there are very few people who get to record at the Beatles' house. Being a Beatles fanatic, I thought I'd just record this album, then die tomorrow, I'd be happy. Initially hesitant and uncertain, Gowan's confidence was boosted by Starr in the next room. Gowan said every once in a while, Ringo would pop in and ask how it's going. About 6 weeks in, Cosmetics was on. That's going to be our album opener. And Ringo came in and said, every time you start playing this one, I'm dancing in the kitchen. And I thought, Gowan said, well, damn it, if that guy who made Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road is getting off on this, then there's a bunch of people who will like this record. And after that, it took its own character. I grabbed onto it with both hands and legs, like a guy holding a lamp post in the hurricane. Because of that, as I mentioned, Cosmetics became the first track on the album. Gowan said, that's the most superficial thing, and then the album ends with the darkest, most honest song, Criminal Mind. It walks you through that inner adventure from superficial to profound and brutally honest. Desperate vacillates between light and dark. City of the Angels is about being allowed entry into some hypothetical society where you flourish and become everything you dreamed of becoming. Then there's Walking on Air and Burning Torches of Hope. But then life steps in on side 2 with Keep the Tension On. Nervous anxiety begins to rule. Then Gorilla Soldier, where someone takes it into their own hands. Then Strange Animal and Criminal Mind. Oh, the drama of it all. It was funny. I really hope people would listen long enough to get to Criminal Mind. All right. Great info there from Gowan. If you haven't been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. It is on Spotify nowadays. It just wasn't released in the U.S. back in the day. We'll get to that aforementioned opener, Cosmetics. Single went to 41 in Canada. It was inspired by Gowan's interest in the attractive and artistically sensitive and the thin line between the deep and superficial in the fickle world on modeling. So I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Doug. All right, Cosmetics. I like the vibe in it. The longer it went, the more I liked it. Who we got here? Tony Levin on bass. Really good bass work on there, along with obviously the piano and the synth that you're going to expect when you see that that Gowan is a keyboard player, but I thought that was really good, man. I mean, it's the story's easy, and he even said it in the write up. It's the what did he say? It's the most superficial thing, but I mean, it's about this girl who'll do whatever it takes to keep her model good looks, and the guys looking at her right. It does not matter to her. So a good way to start the album. I don't really have much on any of these songs, right? Only a couple of them, and they're at the very end. So next up is Desperate. Desperate. Basically just talking about, I think, a guy who had all the power, but now he doesn't anymore, but his style's not to turn and run. So he's going to grab that gun and do those things. He's desperate to hang on to that power, right? As man usually is. Very, very catchy though still. I like the synth work. I mean, it sounds very 80s, but I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so I'm good with that. At times it reminds me a little bit of a Duran Duran sound, but there's a lot of sense that sound that way, but just in the way that Gowan plays it. Next up, we have City of the Angels. All right, City of the Angels. There were parts of this arrangement I didn't really care for, but I thought he did a good job on the keyboard, kind of building drama to the song, right? I'm not really sure what it's about. I don't know if this person died or just took a chance and was successful or took a chance and just kind of got out there. But then on the chorus part, I really liked Gowan's voice there. I thought it sounded really good. So I'm kind of split on this song, but it definitely had redeeming qualities. Next up, we got Walking on Air. All right, Walking on Air. I think the song is I don't know. He's just always watching. I mean, this could be a stalker song, but we didn't really think that much back then like that. Although we did 2 years previous to this with Sting and Every Breath You Take with the Police. But this song, the little melody in there at times reminded me of this song by a group called ABC, Be Near Me, which came out at the same year. So it wasn't like Gowan was copying, but he sounded a little bit like Martin Fry, ABC's lead singer, on this a little bit. He didn't on the other songs. Maybe I'm just hearing that because I hear that song in this, but I thought it was really well done. Next up, we got Burning Torches of Hope. All right, Burning Torches of Hope. A really well-written song. I think, it's a timeless song, right? Because he starts out, wonder where our world is heading for. The future, it's filling us with fear. We stumbled in a pit too deep this time. We don't know if we'll make it out. Still, there's a way where there's a will. Are you ready to try? And then basically, let our love lead us on with hope. Burning torches of hope. Could they ever lead us astray? Don't want them to feed us. We're on our own oasis of joy. This is from 1985. You definitely write this in 2024, especially in the country I'm in, the United States, where we're in major political division all the time and the sky is falling. So that was really well done. Still got 4 songs left, and the 2 enders are the biggies and streams on here. But we got Keep the Tension On. Keep the Tension On. Another well-written song, and I thought he did a really good job of using his keyboards to kind of build that tension. He did a really good job of letting the arrangement kind of set the tone for the song. He's kind of talking to you about, you better keep on your toes, right? Keep that tension on. Tension is not always bad because it keeps you highly alert and aware. But he starts out, beware the rotting wind of complacency. It loves to suck you into your history. If you can't afford the price of a fatal slip, you better learn to dance to the master's whip. So you're going to be working for somebody else. They're going to own you, right? Chorus, keep the tension on. It helps to keep the tension on. There's something to be said for the sweating palm. There's nothing like the high from a ticking bomb, right? That stress, that adrenaline rush, that dopamine high you get. So it kind of talks about all that. And then the last part, all day I dream I'm outside on the 100th floor. Down below are people screaming, feel their tension soar. And then he goes back into the chorus. But I thought that was really well done. We got 3 songs left. They were all singles along with the opening track, Cosmetics. We got Gorilla Soldier, went to 24 in Canada. All right, Jerry Marotta playing us off there with that great drumming. And Chris Jarrett and David Rhodes really putting on some guitar performances here. More so than almost really on any other song. And, a political song, right? Gorilla Soldier, born in Santo Domingo, U.S. Marine down from his home up in Maine. And so the U.S. has invaded this area. And, this is the 80s, Ronald Reagan's America, where he's invading these smaller countries, trying to make democracy reign everywhere. For another 1,000 days, we'll all be over talking about how you get in a land. You tell everybody it's going to be a few days, and then you're there forever. Yeah, my country, the United States, has a history of that, a long history of that. Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it, it happened. So really well done here. We got 2 songs left. We got the title track. It has Your A in parentheses first, and then Strange Animals. Second single, 15 in Canada. Gowan's inspiration for the song came from the writings he talked about at the beginning of Herman Hesse and an interest poll that various individuals can have on life. The song is featured in the 2022 horror movie Nope. All right, You're a Strange Animal. I've got to follow. I thought the chorus was so catchy. Really good job arrangement-wise, playing off the synth and also the guitar, right? coming in on that chorus really made it an earworm, right? Just kept continuing on. You're a strange animal. So I think he's writing to this girl that, you know, she's different, she's mysterious, but he's attracted to her. She's a strange animal with all these things that she does, but he cannot get away from her. But yeah, I mean, I can see why that's the most streamed song on here. Now we get to the final song, the second most streamed song on here. Almost 7.5 minutes long. Great story behind this. We got A Criminal Mind. Lead single went to 5 in Canada. Gowan refers to it as one of his signature songs. They asked him, how did you come up with A Criminal Mind? He said, I was at the Canadian National Exhibition, and there was a display of the Canadian penal system, and they had transported a cell from the Kingston Penitentiary to the actual site. No one was paying attention to it. It was this weird kind of sideshow thing. People were walking past it, and there was only this one guy there, and he was a retired prison guard. I got into the cell and closed the door and sat there a while and suddenly thought of a melody I had kicking around for a couple weeks. And I had a conversation with the guard, and he talked about the people that he'd known for years in the course of his career, and he said basically, they keep coming back. They're tremendous at covering it up, very innocent on the outside and claiming they're the victim. But quietly they'll admit they really got caught for the right thing. He said it's funny because there are so many sides to people. He said a guy may have been a murderer, and after a few years, a whole other part of his personality would come out. And if that's the side I got to know, and I can honestly say a good number of them became friends, even though I knew they were right where they belonged. So over the course of that conversation, I thought, this is a really unusual thing. How do I put it into a song? All right, A Criminal Mind, an epic song, right? Just fantastic, man. I can see why it was the biggest hit. You know, basically he writes the story of the criminal mind, right? He keeps coming back and he just admits, like, this is who I am. He embraces it. He goes, I don't have any regrets in life. This is who I am. You guys put me behind these prison walls, and basically saying that's where I belong, right? He just keeps repeating that. A criminal mind is all I've ever known. They try to reform me, but I'm made of cold stone. My criminal mind is all I've ever had. Ask anyone who's known me if I'm really so bad. I am. And so he just admits it, right? He just admits this is who I am, and that's why I'll always be back if I ever get out. So I thought that was really well done. I thought the instrumentation was, while it was low key, the arrangement, it was perfect because he was really, really telling a story on this one. Now we're going to get to my favorite tracks. Honorable mentions, the first song, Cosmetics. Burning Torches of Hope for the songwriting on there. And Gorilla Soldier, my favorites. It's not a surprise. You're a Strange Animal. And A Criminal Mind, I thought, was the best song on here. Now we'll get to my overall score. You know, this is not some sort of masterpiece. This is 80s, totally 80s sounding, mid 80s, right in that sweet spot. Gowan sounds exactly like mid 80s music sounds. I grew up in that time, so I might like it more than some of you who haven't heard it. But you know, I'm going to be at a solid 7.5 on it. I think Criminal Mind's a standout on here just because of the songwriting. I don't know that it's the best song arrangement wise, but it's really good. But there's no song on here that's bad, right? It's very, very consistent. Sounds good. Good arrangement, nice production, just well done, man. So Gowan, someone I didn't know at all, and didn't know he's with Styx, which of course is a legendary classic band. But thank you to Doug for bringing this one to me. Let me know what you think of this album down below. Is it Gowan's best? I mean, that's all the stuff I've read. Everyone kind of thinks that it is. And what are your favorite tracks? And until next time, guys, I will see you